Good day, good people. Relevant Thoughts blog is back. I'm your guy, Lewis to the T, and yes, I am excited to be back with you. This is the second week in our series entitled Relevant Thoughts. Yes, like I said last week, a novel idea, right? To talk about relevant thoughts on the Relevant Thoughts blog, but it is absolutely necessary. We started off week one in this series talking about Black people being relevant. What a novel idea, right? You would think that it was obvious. So just like Black Lives Matter is obvious, but it's not obvious. Some people don't get it, they don't understand it. Some people feel excluded from it or think that it is intended to exclude when in actuality it's intended to uplift, to shine a light on, and to highlight people that are not typically highlighted and typically shown in the best way possible. So last week I talked about Black people being relevant, who we are, how we are, and what we contribute to society. And so in week two, I want to go further and talk about your role. Your role is relevant. Your role in society, your role in your family, your role in this country, whatever situation you can put after the statement, your role, it is absolutely relevant. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. Today is Thursday, July 15th, 2021, and Relevant Thoughts blog will be talking about your role being relevant. I think this is important. I did not recognize how many people discounted themselves. And typically it comes through a series of events of people and places and culture and environment telling you that you are not worthy, telling you that your contribution, that your role is not needed or necessary, or in some way causes a hindrance or a bother to a larger group of people. But being in a corporate environment, being part of a fraternal organization, being part of a large family, I recognize and realize that so many people don't understand how valuable their role is. And so today I'm going to talk about a couple scenarios. I'm going to start off talking about just the role we play in other people's lives. And then I want to talk about just our contribution to society and use politics as an example. I know a lot of people are turned off about politics, but it's so important to the social structure of our country, to justice, which we are seeking as a people as it relates to our treatment within our country. So I do want to hit upon kind of not necessarily just politics, but just governmental structure and our role therein. So first, I do want to talk about just our role and how we contribute to the people around us. You know, we don't know what we give all the time. Sometimes it's the little stuff. You might be the person that every time I call you, you're just in a pleasant mood. You're not overly excited. You're not down or depressed. You're just pleasant. You seem happy to hear from me. Things are typically going well. We have a great dialogue, and you may not think that role is important or that it even is a role. You may think, hey, I'm just picking up the phone. We're having a quick, 10, 15 minute conversation, and that's just par for the course. That's what I do. But for some people, that phone call is affirming. For some people, that phone call is life-saving, depending on where they are in their journey, in their day, in that moment. So for some people, they need the consistency of hearing just your voice. And so your role as that friend, as that mentor, or it might even be as a mentee, right? Sometimes people in positions of authority, they get something out of their role or out of their contribution just by interacting with you. And so no position that we play is too small. And I don't think a lot of people recognize that. I think that they believe it has to be a huge, overt, audacious action. I have to be donating money. I have to show up and give 20 hours of service. I have to speak profound words into your life. I have to pray over you, or I have to do something extravagant in order to really be considered a key player in your life. But that is absolutely not true. The sound of your voice, a few sweet words, just you actually being present enough for those people to interact with you. It's all a role that we play, and we have to be aware of that. Because when we know that we play that role, we do work on ourselves. We do the good work on ourselves to make sure that what we offer to the world and what we offer to other people is something that is of value. And that doesn't mean that we're not going to have bad days, or we're not going to be down, or we're not going to need people to feed into us. What it means is that because we deem ourselves valuable, we constantly feed ourselves things that are nourishing. So we are around people who feed us as we feed others. We're around people who uplift us as we uplift others. And so our role is absolutely relevant. It's relevant to the lives of the people around us, and it's significant. And we have to recognize that. And I hope more people will. I think a lot of us downplay who we are because we're taught this modesty mode of being. And I can't remember the exact quote, but Maya Angelou used to talk about modesty, and she was talking about how it was kind of this human affectation to say that you were somehow not worthy, but you really were seeking to be highlighted as worthy. Being modest, saying, oh no, not really, it's not that big, it's not that significant. That's not really healthy. It doesn't add to you, and it doesn't add to other people. Humility, recognizing that your contribution is necessary and that it is relevant, but that it doesn't make you a better human being than other human beings. We are all on this journey together. We are all struggling together. We're all striving together, and hopefully we're all thriving together. So she had a really great breakdown between modesty and humility, and how humility and humbleness is kind of a naturally occurring characteristic with people who are just trying to be better human beings, and that modesty is a forced position where society says, don't hold your head too high. Don't brag, don't share too much, things of that nature. So hopefully people will recognize more and more that their role is so relevant, and that their contribution is so necessary and so needed. The other part I want to talk about is, real quick, politics and government. I was looking at the news yesterday, and they were talking about Democrats fleeing, literally physically fleeing the state of Texas so they wouldn't have to participate in the vote, in regard to Republicans wanting to restrict voting, basically. It's their new voting laws. All of them restrict people's ability to vote in the name of securing our election. We know that we just came out of one of the most scrutinized and heavily secure elections we've ever had, simply because people on the right didn't want people on the left to win, and people on the left didn't want people on the right to cheat, and it was a big deal, right? So all of these laws are going into place, and of course, as always, people who were already marginalized become even more marginalized. People who already had difficulty accessing our democratic system, our democracy, they are being adversely affected. We have laws as extreme as it is illegal to hand somebody water or food while they wait in line. We know what that's designed to do. That is designed to discourage people from waiting. And where are the longest lines? The longest lines are typically in poor communities in the United States of America, or typically brown and black. We know what that looks like, and we know what's happening. So the point that I want to make in regard to our role, there are people that work in politics, there are people that work in community development, there are people who do not work in the governmental sector at all. They're in the private sector. There are people who this is not a huge part of their life. They wake up, they go to vote, they go home, but we all have a role to play, and that role is relevant. If you don't believe that voting matters, there is still something that you need to do that you believe in that helps the cause of people in this country getting what they need. You do believe in fair play. You do believe that lives matter, particularly Black lives matter, because this is the most marginalized group at this particular time, being targeted, being killed by the authority, right? So even if you don't believe that the voting structure or the political system works, you do believe in the goodness of what is attempting to be done. So what role do you play? What do? Do you talk to people about how to protect themselves? Do you talk to people about community policing? What is your role and what are you contributing? Because it's absolutely relevant and we need you. I said last week, I don't work in politics. I don't work within the community as a full-time job. I need to make my contribution the way that I need to make it, and that's right here. This is what I'm doing. I'm speaking to people, I'm talking about topics, I'm talking about issues. Hopefully I'm building us, lifting us, and giving us a brighter light within society and amongst each other, that we will be better than we were before we had this interaction. And so we have to recognize that our role is relevant. So what is your role as it pertains to these larger issues, as it pertains to government officials having to flee their state in order not to participate in a vote that they find unconscionable and immoral? How do you help that? What do you contribute into that system or outside of that system that helps the cause that they are fighting for, that we are fighting for, that benefits us all? Today has been for me just an exciting day of reflection. When I want to talk about the role that you're playing in people's lives, it makes me reflect on the role that I play in other people's lives. It makes me want to be better, do better. It makes me deep dive into who I am as a person and what I really contribute and bring to the table. And even if I don't know the exact thing that I add to your life, if I'm doing the work on myself just to be my best self, then I know whatever you get from me is helpful. And so, hey, this is Relevant Thoughts Blog. I'm your guy, Lewis to the T. You'll see this video on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, and just a little snippet on Twitter because, hey, that's their rule. I'll be back next week, and I hope to see you soon.